A mixed day on Saturday for those challenging for the title. Manchester City coming from a goal down to win against Brentford at home. We'll discuss that later. But Liverpool losing for the first time under Arne Slot as Nottingham Forest record their first win at Anfield in any competition since February 1969. Alongside the former Liverpool defender, Stevie Nicol. Simple question to begin with, Stevie. Why?
Wow. How long you got? Listen, my overriding thought is that this is a classic after the international break performance. Having been in that position myself, sometimes it's hard to get your legs going and get your brain going. And clearly that looked what the problem was with Liverpool. They weren't thinking quick enough. They certainly weren't moving quick enough. You got to give Forest a lot of credit. They defensively gave Liverpool next to nothing. I mean, in the first half, Liverpool, Diaz hit the post only because a defender made a mistake and gave him the ball on the inside of his own box. And then the one piece of brilliance, or the one piece of good play that Liverpool had, McAllister with a great ball with the outside of his right peg, Jota at the far post, and I think he should have scored. But after that, absolutely nothing. I mean, you talk about Liverpool getting the basics of the game wrong. The passing was off. The movement wasn't particularly good. There was no connection between any players. You know, I don't remember any sort of good possession, maybe 1, 2, and 3 and 4 passes with a little bit of movement. None of that whatsoever. And the longer the game went on, particularly after Nuno made a couple of substitutions, he brought on Hudson-Odi, he brought on Elanga, and they actually gave Forest a little lift on the break and looked dangerous every time they had an opportunity, which actually in the last 25 minutes when they came on were quite a lot, because Liverpool were giving the ball away. And Hudson-Odoi took advantage, took on Bradley, cut on the inside. Van Dijk couldn't get across quick enough, and he put a beautiful curled shot into the bottom corner that gave Alisson no chance. And they were 1-up with 20 minutes to go. And typically at Anfield, 20 minutes to go, you think there's going to be a surge. But I tell you what, it just never came. Nothing changed. You know, Slot made substitutes, brought on Gakpo, brought on Nunes. I mean, he tried everything, went to 3 at the back, but Liverpool just never got going, just never looked sharp, never had any ideas going forward, and really struggled to pass the ball to each other. It's as basic as that. They struggled to pass the ball to a red jersey on any sort of consistent basis.
When the headline is Liverpool lose, there's always a danger that the team they lost to don't get the praise and the credit they deserve. And I think they do, because the second half Forest were excellent. What did they do in the second half that allowed them to come away with all 3 points?
Well, obviously, defensively, they were superb. There was, other than the opportunity that Jota had for me in the first half, they stopped Liverpool creating anything whatsoever. You know, there was a couple of shots that were weak, to be honest. And that was it. So, you know, defensively, they got everything right. They closed the ball down well at the right time. They won possession back at the right time. There was no real spaces in behind them. Yes, they were deep, but they still managed to cut out the spaces. They managed to cut out any passes that were delivered into the penalty box or in behind. So from a defensive point of view, they were absolutely spot on. And then, as I said, the big difference in Forest was when Nuno made the changes, bringing Hudson-Odoi on the left and Elanga on the right, because after they came on, when Liverpool coughed the ball up, all of a sudden Forest looked dangerous on the break, culminating in that goal from Hudson-Odoi. So, yeah, Forest got everything right defensively, which was the base for this victory. But then they took the opportunity with 20 minutes to go that Hudson-Odoi created and finished up winning the game. And by the end of the game, Liverpool were really in a bit of a mess. as I said, they went to 3 at the back, but there was holes everywhere, and the crowd were really frustrated. And in the end of the day, it's a poor performance, but from Forest, a great performance.
Apart from the opening 45 minutes of the season at Ipswich, when Liverpool really kicked on after that, 7 goals in 3 consecutive wins. And no doubt Arne Slot has learned a lot about his players in that time frame before the international break. What do you think he's learned today? Is it just one of those days for Liverpool?
Well, I think right now it can be put down to one of those days, because the coaching staff and Arne Slot will sit down and try and figure out, the reasons behind this performance. And I do have to say that a large part of that has to be the fact that everybody's been away. No training, no time to work on anything, just kind of put the first 11 out, which has been the same 11 since the start of the season. So again, that's a little bit of, you can take that away as not being an excuse. But certainly the way they played, they looked as though they'd just been thrown together. But yeah, the overriding factor right now would be, because of the international break, everybody being away, a little bit sluggish, a little bit tired, a little bit jaded, not in tune with each other. So I think that's what will do, because it's the first performance that's been like that. Obviously, down the line, if these performances continue, then you'd have to look at other things that may cause basically the whole team to not be at their best.
When you played, Stevie, and you played in a 5-0 win in 1988, I think it was, against Forest, the opposition manager Brian Clough said Liverpool were unplayable that day. It's one of the best performances he's ever seen. But when you were on the other side of it, when you had one of the rare defeats that you suffered, did you want to get straight back into action? The reason I ask is because Liverpool have got a really good one at the San Siro on Tuesday against Milan.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, watching the game, certainly the last 20 minutes when they were 1 down, I kept thinking about a game we had back in the day at home to Wolves. Wolves were bottom of the table, and we lost 1-0. And it really was a similar type of game. We just weren't at it. We never created anything. They defended well, and they scored a goal on the break halfway through the second half. I mean, it really was a carbon copy. That game I'm talking about was a carbon copy of what happened to Liverpool today. So, yeah, absolutely. Get back on the horse and get after it.
Okay, some win for Nottingham Forest. First time since 1969 that they've won at Anfield, and their fans will certainly enjoy what they saw and the aftermath.